Hey everybody, it's not Friday, it's Monday. What am I doing? It's Monday. What is today? Today's December 12th. If it was 2012, that'd be a cool date. It's not though, it's 2022, as far as I remember. This is an AMA. It's a special one because I'm doing it on a Monday. Don't ask me why. Somebody told me to get on and do an AMA, so here I'm doing it. You ask questions, I answer them. I just got back from 29 hours worth of travel to come back from London. That's London to Estonia. That I could have walked in probably half the time that it took me to fly here. I think I saw 7 major capitals on the way, and came intimately familiar with some shitty airport hotels. So here we go. Going to jump right into it. Hereby looks like he was first. So congratulations, hereby gold medal in the mail, buddy. The DOJ is apparently considering charging Binance with criminal charges. How likely is that scenario actually, and would the implications of the market be at this time? Well, Binance and DOJ, kind of music to my ears. Look, I've been saying this forever, literally. I mean, if forever started in the 2017 bull run, I've been saying this forever. It is inevitable. You can't run a financial business the way that, whether or not they run their business that way now. Of course, we've seen some things come out recently. I think the last 2 days about proof of reserves. You saw Kraken's Jesse Powell all over that one like stink on shit. Again, 3 to 5 years was my prediction. 2023 will be 5 years. So maybe I'm gonna get one right for once, guys. Maybe I can get a gold star and put it up on the wall back there, right near the memes. That'd be interesting. I'd love to get a gold star. Or at least a Kevin was right sign. Anybody can make neon signs out there? Just make a Kevin was right sign. I'll just have it blinking in the background all the time. That'd be amazing. Implications on the market. Well, the market will get smacked. That's for sure. Because obviously with confidence already at lows because of Luna, because of FTX, having another major hit like Binance, which is significantly larger in size, at least that's what they tell us, would be a bump for sure. Though I think in the long run, it would be a blip on the screen and be a major plus for the market. If we're talking about cleaning the market, definitely cleaning the market from excessive wash trading and fake volumes and all this stuff, not to mention just businesses that aren't run the right way, is a good thing. I think Kevin Murcko of 2020 would have put a deep red flag on any exchange that wiped their book and restricted selling. Agree or no? No. So I'll tell you why. Let me just sip my coffee first. 29 hours worth of travel. Okay. So we're not restricting selling. We're limiting the size of sell orders so that more orders can be processed, so that this access for all ideology that we have can be put into play. The goal is to obviously remove those limitations so that everybody can sell whatever they want. But right now, the way the book sits, no one is really selling anything. And that's not helping anybody. Wiping the book, well, technically speaking, we were going to do a culling of the book, basically chopping orders down to that 5,000 limit. Unfortunately, not possible. And so it calls for a reset of the book. For me, technically speaking, every equities exchange in the world does a book reset at the end of the night, at the end of the day's trading. And we call that, anybody know what we call that? We call that rollover. Basically, all positions are closed and then reopened after rollover. Now, in this case, we're not reopening, but resetting an order book is not something, we're not the first to do it. Let's put it that way. And I think the only reason we're going down this road is we want to make sure that the book gets reactivated. And we do believe this is going to help. And in the long run, I don't think anybody's going to remember it. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for squeezing in a Monday AMA. Well, thank you, Philippe, for squeezing in a Monday watching an AMA. I wish you and everybody at CoinMetro a great week. What did you do for what? Oh, what did you wish? I thought you said, what did you do? My mind just went crazy right now. I thought maybe it was already January and somehow I went through a time warp. What do you wish for Christmas? I just wish for everybody else to have a great time, get some relaxation, and come back in 2023 ready to crush it. That's what I wish for. That and to get the XCM book obviously up and running again. But first, I just hope everybody has a relaxing time, spends time with friends and family, comes back 2023 ready to just tear it up, man. That's what I'm hoping for. When DNA staking. Still haven't talked to David about that. That's definitely on me, but had a lot of stuff going on. We will get there, but I don't know a when yet, to be honest. Don't forget the Reddit questions. Yep, I'm sure somebody's going to throw those at me at some point. Hi, Kevin. Can you talk us through the decision behind 5K sell limit? Why 5K and not lower amount? We did a quick analysis. I was going to say analysis of the book before we made the announcement, obviously. And the vast majority of orders were below 5K. And so that 5K threshold was simply set so that there was one kind of it's not a round number per se, but a whole number that seems like we actually put some thought into it, I guess. No, in reality, most orders were below 5,000. We also didn't want to limit it too much so that people with 10,000 or 15,000 or 12,000, et cetera, wouldn't have to put in wouldn't have to wait to put in so many orders over time. So we'll see how the 5K sell limit goes. Look, if somebody puts an order in for 5K and it gets filled and somebody else does and they all get filled, I'm ecstatic. If we start to see that 5K might be limiting let's say the movement of the book too much, we may decide to reduce that limit so that eventually we can raise it. But 5K was based on analysis of the book prior to the announcement. What do you think about this exchange coordination signal group? No idea what that is. So maybe link me up in there, DM me on Telegram or something. I'll take a look. Any thoughts you'd like to share about your wider macro situation in the markets, 2023 outlook? Thanks. Well, macro sucks. And no matter what, world leaders tell you, the world's been in a recession for some time, and that recession is going to last a while. We're going to see stagflation, I guess is the term, right? So inflation that basically goes up, comes a bit down, and then sits there for a while. And, high inflation, when it pops, doesn't necessarily affect all consumers because, yes, they get affected on energy, they get affected on things they have to buy for their daily lives, but they don't get affected on some things. However, stagflation starts to affect things you can't get away from, like rent, like interest rates on mortgages, et cetera. So when you look at most countries, most first world countries, one of the biggest factors of their GDP is new home sales. And those bad boys aren't going up right now because of interest rates for the most part and inflation. And at the end of the day, that's going to cause a ripple effect. We have a consumer credit bubble that I talked about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that's going to burst at some point. That consumer credit bubble is going to dwarf the mortgage crisis. Whether or not that happens now or in the next year or so, not sure yet, to be honest. But that consumer credit bubble is going to hurt. The macro in general sucks. That could mean that macro for crypto is going to be good. Why? Well, when you think about where people are going to place their assets, whether that be institutions, whether that be people in general, individuals, where you put your money? You can put your money in equities. That probably won't beat inflation, even if they have some of their best years ever. Are you going to put your money in a savings account? That's definitely, you're going to lose money for sure. And more people are getting educated of the fact on how that actually works. Because if you tell a lot of people on the street, hey, look, if you earn 5% a year, you're actually losing money. They'll go, what? Because most people aren't in tune to these things, but more and more people are coming in tune, and that could spell positivity for crypto, especially for things like Bitcoin, for things like Ethereum, but also obviously trickle down like we always see into altcoins and other crypto assets. So I don't expect 2023 to be a banner year by any stretch of the imagination. I do think, though, at some point in the second half of 2023, we're going to start to see, and that may start in Q1 or Q2, sorry, but in the second half of 2023, we're going to start to see some form of recovery across most markets. So rather than just staying in a range, which is where we've been and probably where we will be. So if you're a range trader, it's going to be amazing, probably for the next at least 6 months, maybe even longer. We'll start to come out of that range. That doesn't mean we're going to see all-time highs in 2023, but I do think we're going to start to see more assets come into the market, especially because they are going to print more money. They may raise interest rates 1 or 2 more times. They may raise interest rate 3 more times, but at some point they cannot continue to raise because not only new home sales, but credit in general is just going to dry up. And in all honesty, most wealth is created from credit. And so if the credit markets dry up, lots of other things start to dry up. Consumer confidence starts to get lower. And when that happens, well, that's a bubble that could lead to the consumer credit burst. which anybody in power in the U.S., U.K., et cetera, places where consumer credit, well, is looking pretty shitty, knows that. At least somebody in that office knows that. Maybe not all of them. Raul Paul claims that Binance is likely a sovereign actor. FTX has been linked to funneling funds to Ukraine. Could the FTX situation be part of the current conflict between East and West? I don't think it. No, the FTX situation is just Sam stealing people's money. The whole Ukraine thing, and look, if you want to find something, you'll find it, right? You ever see that movie? What was it called? 13 or something, or 23 or something? It was Jim Carrey, where like he just starts finding the same number and all kinds of different patterns. If you want to find something, you're going to find it. I've said for a while that Binance is either protected by or controlled partially by the CCP. Why? Well, when you look at how much pressure that Chinese exchanges were under. Now, Binance was never officially located in China, but I mean, I guess I don't need to spell it out. They didn't have that same pressure, and along with some others like Huibi, for example, who had some pressure at some point. I remember their CEO or CFO, somebody vanished for like 2 weeks and then reappeared with a smile on his face or something, holding, reading cards off screen. But yeah, I don't think they're a sovereign actor per se. But there's nobody controlling billions that's connected to China, whether they live there or not, that isn't somehow connected to the CCP. That's how it works. I don't think FTX and the Ukraine situation there wasn't enough money flowing between FTX and Ukraine for that I think to make any difference. And I think it's somewhat of a coincidence, to be honest. It's like, if you have $100 billion and I put $20 into your 100 billion pile, and then you send $20 to Ukraine, that does not mean those are my $20. That's what we call, fungible. Don't forget the questions on Reddit. Yeah. I'm going to get to those guys. I'm going to get to those. I promise. Hi, Kevin. Can you explain a little bit about the changes in the book on the 14th? Do I understand it right that you can't place orders that are higher than 60 cents, or do I have misunderstood? So book will be cleaned, meaning there'll be no orders in the book. The floor is still there. So 60 cents is the lowest that an order can be placed, but you can place an order higher, up to 100% higher than the book price. So if book is 60 cents, because that's what the floor is, that means up to €1.20, you can place that order. Why are we doing that? Well, what we want to do is limit, once the book starts to move again, we want to limit pockets of illiquidity so that somebody coming in and thinks they're buying at 70 cents doesn't get slipped to €3. And that inevitably would or could happen at some point. So we'll have basically a dynamic ceiling that goes along with whatever the lowest price in the book. Not lowest price, not the lowest price in the book, but the mid price of the book. If you have any other questions about the book, let me know. Hey, Kevin, is the bug in the matching engine where limit orders showing up wrong in the order book fixed or ignored? Example, limit order of 60 cents being registered in the book as 60001. We've had lots of discussions about this internally. I don't, as far as I know, it doesn't affect trading in any way. And it's not that it's being ignored. It's that it is, I believe, something that's tied to another feature inside of the exchange, and when change causes other issues. And since the issue itself doesn't really cause any problems other than an ugly display, that's why it hasn't been addressed, but it will be addressed. It's not, don't think that when you mention something to us, it's getting ignored, even if it's not acted on immediately. Most things are looked at relatively quickly. It's just some things are harder to diagnose and harder to quote unquote fix. And if the issue itself isn't really an issue, meaning it's not causing people to lose money, it's not causing us to lose money, etc., then obviously it's not going to be priority over something that, well, might be. E-staking in the near future. E-staking will be coming for sure. I haven't necessarily seen, it's definitely not in Q4. So we're probably talking Q1, Q2 next year would be my estimate, I guess. Are there any products that other exchanges offer that you are envious of? That's a good question. I haven't really messed around with other exchanges in quite some time. I got to be honest. We have a research team on our side that always is constantly looking at competitors to see what they're offering. I think we're getting to the point, and we may already be there, where it's not about what you offer, it's how you offer it. I do think, though, and I've said this a million times, and now with FTX and potentially Binance here in the very near future, or Celsius or Luna or whoever, hybrid is really what I want to see happen. And I want to see the start of that happening in 2023, which means decentralized settlement and centralized order books. The best of both worlds when it comes to trading. Obviously, services like staking, etc., will mostly be centralized, just the way they work. There potentially will be like liquid staking, so you can hold assets inside of your own wallet. You hold the keys, but you lock them, and you're able to receive some rewards. However, there, like I said, there still will be centralized services. There will be centralized pieces of the ecosystem. But when it comes to, do I need to trust this company because I just signed up with them, or I own a lot of assets, or to me, this is a huge part of my own portfolio. I'd rather hold them on a Ledger wallet, or whatever inside my own wallet, and simply connect to the exchange. That's what I want to see, and I think a lot of exchanges are going to go down that road. Good morning, Kevin. Please drop some Cadena Alpha. It's getting old hearing that you guys haven't talked. Sorry, man. I don't mean to try and make you as bald as I am, but I still haven't talked to Cadena. And yeah, there hasn't been much talk between the two companies at all. I'll tell you what, beginning of the next year, I'm going to try and fix that so we can get some Cadena Alpha flowing again. Price. Right on. In a recent VM, you hinted at CoinMetric looking for some acquisition opportunities. Could you share some details about that? Well, there really isn't any details right now. Point is that we are going to be raising more money, and some of that money, not a huge portion, but enough to find maybe a few little gems here and there, some acquisitions that may be for just licensing. They potentially could be for some product or a client base. And the way the market's shaping up, and I think the relatively short term, the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters, there are going to be a lot more companies that are struggling and looking for potential investment. And I think that may give us the opportunity to pick up a few pieces that could help us expand our own product base or user base or licensing, our licensing portfolio, as it were. Can you reveal any further plans to revive the XCM book in the future? Well, I'm not going to give you specific plans, but reset of the order book already happening, right? Limitations on the amount you can have in the book on the sell side already happening. The next step there is to make sure that we create a sustainable market by incentivizing people to buy XCM and trade XCM. Third to that would be market making, whether that's something like AMMs, right? You guys, our clients, and us as well, or much more traditional market makers. And both of those are being discussed, and both of those are possibilities, and they may both become reality. These things, though, will take some time, right? We don't expect to have full sustainability in the order book immediately after resetting, but the optics are going to change. And so when we go out and talk about XCM, when our ads go out and they talk about XCM, when we build in more utility, like adding in third-party utility, think, higher rebates on Backify if you're in an XCM tier, for example, and other things of that sort, plus the launch of digital fiat coming next year with virtual cards and IBANs, et cetera, and then linking that up to the tiers as well. And then additional, maybe having tax services or something like that. Additional services that rather than you can spend XCM there, sitting in a tier allows you to take part in those services at a discount or potentially for free or getting a bonus in some way, shape, or form. All those things are currently sitting in a XCM mind map, and they're all being planned. And there will be others. But, if you have an idea that you think would help us incentivize more people to buy XCM, bring in more utility, bring in more value, incentivize people to hold, all those great things, let us know, man. We are open for suggestions. Absolutely. Bloomberg reported that due to the FTX fiasco, VARA will take a stricter approach when it comes to granting licenses in the UAE. Does this have any implications for CM's UAE plans? I don't think so, because I had this very discussion with VARA before all this happened. I didn't mention FTX. I was more talking about Binance. Just said, you guys need to be careful with some of the bigger players in the market because they will put a stain on your effort. Like, don't just capitulate and put a knee down because some big player comes in saying they're going to hire a bajillion people and shoot a bunch of money around the city or the country or the emirate. I apologize. And so we already talked about that, and they were understanding of that even then. every regulator is going to talk about how they're going to make it a bit more difficult, how they're going to look a bit more closer, because, well, they have to. That's their job. With the collapse of FTX, has there been any increase in investor interest in CoinMetro as a reputable exchange? It's a good question. I think our narrative, which we haven't changed, it's always been the same, is starting to ring truer in people's ears. And rather than just looking at daily volumes, for example, they're looking at structure, they're looking at practices, policies, people behind the scenes, etc. And I think that it does, though I can't tell you that we have, a line of people outside the door right now saying, CoinMetro, please take my money. But we also haven't necessarily started to a great extent knocking on doors either. That's going to happen pretty much second week of January onward. But we've been preparing, and I've had several different talks with some funds, aggregators, angel investors, etc. And I would say that while everybody is aware of FTX and they understand, this idea of doing things the right way definitely does resonate a bit more than I felt it did, a year ago or 2 years ago. Wall Street Journal and New York Times wrote a piece about a signal group leaked by SBF with CZ, SBF, and the Tether guys, Jesse Powell, in it, where CZ and SBF were fighting around shorting Tether. The 250K short, yeah, that's bullshit. I mean, a 250K short is not gonna destroy an asset with, billions of fake money behind it. So, yeah, and I doubt that Jesse would be in there. CZ, SBF, yeah, Tether, absolutely. When you see Tether printed, watch where it goes. It goes to, well, actually, I don't know if it definitely went to FTX, but for the most part, it ends up at Binance, Bitfinex, and Hobbies in equal parts. When can we sell our XCM? You've always been able to sell XCM. There just have been less buyers in the book, and we're doing all kinds of stuff to make sure that we assist in changing that. What's your favorite thing to do outside CoinMetro? Ooh. Hobbies. Man, I hate getting asked this question because historically, I don't really have a lot of hobbies. I wish I did. I'd like to have. I like to go to the sauna. I like the sauna. I like to go in the sauna and feel like I'm going to die, and then jump in cold water and feel like I'm going to die, and do that consecutively a few times. Sounds crazy. I thought it was really crazy until I did it. The first time I still thought it was crazy. Let's be honest, because it was crazy and it sucked. But now, yeah, I'd say that's a hobby. I kind of hate traveling, but I like to travel. Meaning I like to arrive to new places, see new people, talk to new people, blah, 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 blah. But the act of traveling, oh my God. I could tell you a story about the last 29 hours of my life, but I'll refrain. What do you think about paying salaries in BTC or other coins for that matter? Would CM consider doing that for its employees? Well, I don't have an issue with it. I've seen a lot of people, the mayor of Miami and a bunch of football players in the NFL. Sorry, American football players for those watching in Europe and anywhere else in the world for that matter. But I don't really get it. I understand that means somebody's probably buying some BTC, which makes a bit of upside pressure or whatever. Yeah, okay. But it's still a volatile asset. I don't necessarily think it's a currency. That's like paying people with gold bars, digital gold. You can. Most companies have the ability to move money to their employees relatively inexpensively and fast. And so I don't really get it. We initially did pay employees in crypto, especially remote employees. And then, you start to run into some issues sometimes with accounting, whether that be because of national tax boards or whether that simply be because of, accounting standards, et cetera. And how do you value it? Do you value it when you paid it, when you bought it, blah, 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 blah. And it becomes a bit of an issue. I think in the long run, though, people will be paid in digital assets, period. I don't really see it as a major benefit currently, but it is a benefit in some way. And if people were to actually ask to be paid in digital assets, they probably could be. Any chance for Credo staking soon? We still haven't integrated with the Credo platform. This whole thing about turning into a hybrid, Credo might be a part of that. Obviously, we have the ability to build everything internally. But if there is an option where we can potentially hook up with a partner like Credo and just integrate, that would be amazing. And it would get us to offer Credo staking faster. Did you follow the cross-chain hyperseed DEX created by Antonio Rezin? Would you list their token? I knew of it. I haven't talked to Anatoly in a while because he's been busy and I've been busy, but I've been following it. I mean, yeah, maybe. I'm definitely open to work with Anatoly again. Still work with Anatoly indirectly because we still use some devs from the company he owns in Latvia. So we've had a working relationship now for years. And yeah, I wouldn't be against it, but he hasn't asked me. So, when Kevin and Dredd AMA, dude, just tell Dredd to set up an AMA, put it in a calendar, man. That's it. Would you give SBF a job if he agreed to share Caroline? No. Actually, I wouldn't give him a job either way. But yeah, no. The answer to that, the long answer is no, and the short answer is just no. That's what that is. Hi, what is the thought process and expected results of the book change? Any impact to their reputation, et cetera, and expecting more FUD about manipulating old talk? The expected results are the sell side of the book will go from 2 point something million to probably around 400,000, 400 to 600,000 or so. That's if every single order in the book up to 5 and above 5 all put corresponding 5K orders, which probably isn't going to happen right away. Now, there may be some additional people that add some additional orders, but I think the highest it would go is roughly 600, though it may be less. That's going to help to a certain extent with the optics for newcomers coming into the book. It's going to hopefully help us as well drive some additional buying power into the book, and then that will help as well, because at the end of the day, that's why we're all here, right? I mean, we're here to restart the book, and optics is a thing. So I don't think it's going to have any effect on our reputation. I think in the long run, no one's even going to remember this, to be honest. And I don't see it as manipulation. If I did, I wouldn't do it. Why don't I see it as manipulation? I'm not manipulating price. Price is still going to sit essentially where it is right now. All I'm doing is placing some limitation so that we can reactivate the book so that more people can do what they want to do, which is sell, and more buyers can come in and potentially grab some of those tokens, and keeping the optics so that we don't have this massive sell wall, which stops people from buying. So we will see. And there's more things to come. This isn't the only game in town per se. Why does XCM need a peg order size caps, which clearly damaged the book liquidity in the first place? Why can't we just let the market do what it does? So I've answered this a bunch of times, but I'll answer it for you again, Ignis. Give me a second. So XCM is a utility token, right? What that really means is it's a product. It's our product. It's probably one of our most important, if not our most important product. And just like any provider of a service or a product, we can price that product as we see fit, based on the cost, either the cost to, let's say, create that product, the cost to maintain that product, the cost to deliver that product, and simply the value that that product holds, especially when you're providing a service, right? The delivery of the product may not cost X, but there's a perceived value of X in the service or the product that you're offering. And so based on the size of the ecosystem, based on the valuation of the company, based on several other factors at the time of the decision, and this isn't the first floor we placed floors at 1 cent, 3 cents, 12 cents previously, that did a spectacular job in maintaining a liquid and active order book. When we placed the current floor, the entire market capitulated and died. And so the roughly 2 million euro worth of liquidity that was sitting on the buy side was eaten up by sellers because they were losing money everywhere else. Now, when we placed that floor, people bought at the floor, trusting that the floor was there. Removing that floor would annihilate that trust. And I don't see any value in doing that. I see value in doing everything we can as a business to make sure that we revive that market. Order size caps are a way to make sure more people, more individuals are able to sell. Yeah. It's all about access for all. It's not, we may want to make sure this whale can cash out today or tomorrow. Eventually, that's possible because more liquidity comes back in the book. But for right now, what we want is everybody, whether you're selling 10 euros, 50 euros, 100 euros, whether you want to buy 10 euros, 50 euros, 100 euros, or 1,000 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, you're able to do that. You're able to do that without issue. And one way to do that is one, correct the order book, meaning reset the order book, allowing people to come back in with these limitations, which only affect, to be honest, a small percentage of all XCM holders. But they allow for more people to sell, which I think should be the goal at the end of the day. I want everybody to be able to sell. I don't necessarily want the book to get clogged, and the book is clogged. Now, hadn't we had the floor, I've seen people, make speculations, and obviously I've made my own speculations. Oh, if the floor wasn't there, there'd be more liquidity. I'd love to see the formula, the mathematical formula that shows me that there would be more liquidity if there wasn't a floor. Because theoretically, what I see would have happened is when the market capitulated, same thing would have happened. The entire market would have fell. Entire market fell, what, 80%, roughly on average. Some tokens fell 99%, but I'd say we're at 80, 85%. So it would have went from where it was, which was just around 60 cents anyway. In fact, I think when we put the floor in, the price was floating around 40 cents. So hadn't we put the floor in, which caused some FOMO up to the floor, we'd probably be sitting around, I don't know, 3 cents, 2 cents. And who's to say that at 2 cents, there'd be enough liquidity to support all the sellers who would still be selling, a lot of them. One, actually, there might be more sellers. Why? Because just like you have FOMO on the top, you also have FOMO coming down. People think that the price isn't going to recover, and they bought it 2 cents or 3 cents 3 or 4 years ago, and they say, screw it, I'm just going to get out at break even. There could have been substantially more sell interest. Also, not to mention the fact that people that are staking now see significantly less potential or on-paper returns, also may sell. And so I don't buy into this narrative that if the floor wasn't there, somehow the market would be super liquid right now, just at a lower price. Those things don't necessarily make any sense. Knowing the floor is there, the assumption can be from that the floor is essentially zero. Right? So why wouldn't you buy at the floor if you would buy at 2 cents with no floor? 2 cents, it could go to 0.0002 cents. The risk that sits at 2 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, 12 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, whatever, with no floor, significantly higher than the risk that sits there with a floor. Now, there's a time risk, which obviously, depending on how long it takes for the market to be reactivated or the book to be reactivated, there is a time element. That time element does carry risk. That could take months. It could take years. Could take whatever it takes. Also, if the company didn't exist, well, that risk is there as well. Well, then the floor wouldn't exist either. So I guess those who didn't want the floor, that would assist them in getting something they wanted. But I think this idea that if the floor wasn't there, yeah, we'd have a liquid market at a lower price doesn't actually make any sense. Return to my question, Mr. Kevin. Did you have another question? Would I miss it? Let's see. Scanning. Ligma. I don't have any questions from you, Ligma. Not a one. This is the first one that I see here. So if you have a question, just hit it again, man. I'm not afraid of any questions. Don't worry. I love your jacket. Where's it from? This is Philip Plain. Yeah. There's the little thing here. There you go. See, there it is. Philip Plain. Nice tailoring. He makes a lot of that skull, crazy, flashy stuff, which I don't. I mean, I have some shiny shit in my wardrobe for special occasions. Let me tell you. But I don't, the skull stuff, I'm not wearing that shit. But he has some really good tailoring on jackets and stuff. So I got a few. This one's nice though, because it's kind of, like if you don't know, I'm not a hoodie guy, right? Maybe I should be. I don't know. Does this look? I feel weird in a hoodie. I'm not a hoodie guy, but this is like the cross between a hoodie and a blazer. Science, man, absolute science. When does the 2-year CM bond expire, and we need to take equity or XCM? So 2-year bond will expire at the end of January, and that's going to be up to you whether you take equity or XCM. Hi, Kevin. What do you think about Ethereum name service, and would you consider listing their token? Well, I bought a few ENS domains way back in the day. They really haven't caught on. Would I consider listing their token? I'd consider it. Sure. Can you do more midweek AMAs that would allow us to make them more often due to travel? Yeah, I don't have a problem doing AMAs midweek. Somebody tells me do an AMA, I'll do an AMA. Is VXV a scam because I heard they are located next to a strip club? Well, I don't think that qualifies to be a scam because you're located next to a strip club. I mean, Talon has like 900 strip clubs. So basically everybody's in the vicinity of a strip club. I mean, if you're in downtown, like within a block or two. So I don't think that necessarily means anything. I did see that FUD. Look, I don't think that to me is not a red flag, right? I mean, if your offices are next to a strip club, well, I don't know what that means, really. I don't think it means that. Maybe it means cheap rent. Maybe that's actually a good thing. They're not spending money on some crazy office. I don't know. What is the current state of crypto regulation? Is it coming in 2023? Well, we already have some crypto regulation. Everybody knows that, right? I mean, there are licenses and registrations all around the world. More regulation is coming in 2023. There's a vote for MiCA, which is markets and crypto assets in Europe. It should be a pan-European piece of legislation that adds regulation to all EU member states. That's definitely going to happen in 2023. We're probably going to see the UK toughen up their registration process, maybe now calling it a license. To be honest, it really is pretty equivalent to a license. They just don't have a licensing functionality yet, so they call it a registration. But you're going to see some additional pushes to fine-tune that regulation. You'll probably see the UAE also come out now with their official license rather than this current kind of sandbox testing period within 2023. They'll probably take a lot of hints from MiCA and potentially from the UK, as well as potentially from the US. I don't know if we're going to see federal regulation in the US this year, but we're probably going to see at least a vote or two or some headlines at some point this year, probably after MiCA. So you're probably thinking Q2 on that. But you're going to see more and more regulation, that's for sure. Like regulation finished and in the bag in 2023, no. Volume's going down the drain. Did Coinmetrics manage to grab any of FTX user base? Secondly, why didn't you establish an ethical crypto exchange alliance with Jesse to stand strong together? Why don't? So yeah, well, volume has fallen across the entire industry. That's just the way it is. It's fallen since Q4. We're not the only ones in that boat. Obviously, our numbers might be smaller, but in terms of percentages, everybody's in the same boat. I don't specifically know if we picked up FTX user base, but I would suspect that we have to a certain extent. I would suspect we already had people using FTX that were our clients and maybe using us now more, or looking to do that in the future. Yeah, I think an SRO is needed. That's a self-regulating organization. It's going to do much more than most regulators can do, and it'll do it much faster. And with us policing ourselves, something like FTX might have been found out sooner. Rather than somebody posting on Twitter or CoinDesk doing an article, it might have been found out much sooner and exposed by that same SRO. So yeah, I might ping Jesse about that. What's your League of Legends rank? I've never played League of Legends in my life. I don't even know what it looks like. Is Binance or any other exchange at risk? Is the contagion overblown? Binance is at risk, but it's not because of FTX. And yes, I'm sure there's other market providers. But the thing is that some of these things will take time. And you may take months, may take years, may take longer for some companies to finally kind of break that have exposure indirectly or directly to FTX. How can we all help Mars returns be more successful? Is the only way to build and stake the Mars assets? Well, yep. Buy and stake the Mars assets, bring assets that you may have in other wallets, stake them. The more that's staked on those assets, obviously, the more that's paid back to Mars. Tell your friends about it, man. I guess that would help, right? Referrals are a good thing. When Reddit questions. Yeah, I'm going to see. Somebody's probably sending me somewhere. Let's see if I have them somewhere. Let's see. Return to your regular scheduled programming here in a second. Okay, I got the Reddit questions. I'll answer them after this one. While I disagree with the price floor, I do appreciate that you're doing an effort to address the downside and also reply to the same criticism calmly at every AMA. Well, thank you, Timson. I know not everybody's agreed to it, but no matter what I do in this chair, there's going to be people that don't agree to it. Sometimes you may agree with me, sometimes you don't. There's not much I can do about that. All I can do is continue to try and make sure that you're happy at the end of the day, and that's my job, and I'll continue to try to do that. So you can definitely count on me for that one. Let's check some Reddit questions. So I would post these, but it's going to take some time. So I'm just going to read them. Here we go. Hey, Kev, there's a new exchange launching in Q1 next year that fits the hybrid model you talked about several times very well. Ankx.com. This sounds like somebody's just trying to promote themselves. decentralized settlement on Credo, centralized order matching. But do you know of any other companies beside Credo working on achieving this hybrid vision? And what's your current stance on integrating Credo with CM? So I haven't heard of Ankex. I'll take a look. What's the question here? Yeah, well, I already answered a Credo question. So I do think they could be someone that we end up working with, but they may not be. Maybe we build it in-house. Maybe we have multiple options like Credo and other potential platforms that can offer the same thing. I've read that even Ledger is looking to create a decentralized settlement type service through Ledger wallets. And so there may be multiple providers once we get up and running. Next question, with the collapse of FTX, investors looking to invest in crypto exchanges for the future, likely focusing on exchanges with operates clearly with jurisdictions like the US and EU. Have there been an increase? So I already answered this question because it popped through, so I'm not going to answer it again. Say you had zero skills or much knowledge in any field, but you had your youth and hair. What would you do to build capital? Well, if I had hair, man, maybe I'd be a hair model. I hear they get paid quite well. What would I do? If I had zero skills and no knowledge. So I'm an idiot with no skills, but a lot of hair. Man, that's, hair model might be the top of my list. I don't know what you do with no skills and no knowledge. Look, everybody starts out with no skills and no knowledge, right? And sometimes, ignorance is bliss, right? When you don't know anything, you don't know what you don't know. So you assume you know more than you do. So you just try stuff. What I would tell you is that failure is probably inevitable. Try not to jump into anything all in. Look to try and find things that can make you passive income. You need to have an income, but you also need to have passive income. Passive income means you don't need to do much. You're just putting money somewhere and you're making money. Real estate's always been the thing that, old school boomers talk about for passive income. And that's not to say that's not true. But in this current market, you're going to need money to be able to do that. You're not going to start from zero. And again, you can get over leveraged relatively quickly. So, I think it's just about excelling at whatever you're doing now, or finding something you excel at, that you're good at, that you're naturally good at, that you like to do, and start to build some wealth that way. Save, don't spend your money. Look, you'll have a lot of time to spend money. Trust me. You don't need to spend a lot of money in your 20s or your 30s, or sometimes even your 40s. Life doesn't necessarily slow down to a halt in your 40s or your 50s for that matter. And so it's about making sure you save. Once you have some capital, then it's about where you deploy that capital. And you can deploy that capital to a myriad of different places. Again, you need to find passive income. So, read some books out there about passive income. I think the key number I've always read is 7 forms of passive income. That doesn't necessarily mean you need 7. But, knowledge is power, man. So make sure, find something you like that you can immerse yourself in and that you don't get bored reading about. All right, let's see. The referral program states that the referrer plus referred used to get $10 an XCM in the new referral program. Well, not meaning to FUD, but it's kind of misleading to say that you get $10 an XCM when the token is essentially untradeable, isn't it? I would think that many potential promoters would have a hard time promoting this sign up when the actual market value is more like 4 to 5 based on the tradable price. Well, I think these things are temporary. So, you said you think it's misleading because you get 10 euros an XCM, but you can't trade them. That doesn't mean you're not getting $10 or 10 euros an XCM. And you can trade them. It just takes time to liquidate them, right? But having to wait for free money, not really sure that's the biggest concern of mine. Now, people may be spending money to promote, and so they need to take that into account. If they need to liquidate immediately, and they can only do that maybe through Uniswap right now, then they have to act accordingly. Simple as that. But that's part of running a business, right? And a referral, bringing in referrals is a business. It's a passive income business. And so, again, passive income being a big thing, we just talked about that. You have to make sure you know the numbers. But this is temporary. And I know it's lasted months, but it's been months, not years. And it will be rectified. It just takes time. And unfortunately, it's not all up to us. The market needs to do what the market needs to do. Are there any products that other exchanges offer you envious of? Okay, I caught that one already. Is there plans to share a balance sheet or anything of the sort for future transparency and ease any worries of FTX type scenario? So I talked about this on Twitter. You can go on my Twitter at Kevin Murcko. You can go read a few threads. I've also talked about it with a few journalists. So if you look up me on Google, you'll probably find them. Me and CoinMetro. The long and the short of it is what's being done right now doesn't necessarily give any value to the argument. You've seen the discussions recently now with Binance and how they've shown client money, but now showing that client money is an indicative USD value and that they actually don't hold some of the assets. Now, I love to jump all over Binance. It's a hobby of mine. Somebody asked me about my hobbies. I should have said, saying shit about Binance, one of my hobbies. I do it in private, and it makes me smile, and it's amazing. I also do it in public sometimes, which I probably shouldn't do, but sometimes I can't help myself. So the honest reality is that running a centralized exchange means you have counterparties. They could be custody agents. It could be custody agents that run proxy addresses that then connect to an omnibus. There could be liquidity providers that you have to hold collateral with. They could be market makers where you settle with on a daily basis so that at some point during the day you have too much assets and some point during the day you have too little. All these things need to be taken into account. You also may have nodes and you may be running other things where assets may sit and they may not be accountable necessarily on chain. So how do you account for all those things? If you don't account for them, what do you just put it on a piece of paper? Where's the value in that? That's just a regular audited statement. And so all these questions are in my mind, all these questions I've posed to the public. I want to do it. I want to do something. Transparency is not just about one action. It's not just about numbers on a page, because let's be honest, no matter what the page says or what the whatever says, that exchange that's centralized, if they have access to your assets, can move them wherever they want, anytime they want. Simple as that. So being transparent, being trustworthy is not just about doing one thing or two things or three things. It is literally how the company needs to be founded and built. It needs to be a narrative that's been there since the beginning. It can't be something that we're talking about just because there's a bad actor. There's always going to be bad actors. And there's always going to be good actors that run into problems. That happens as well. Not stealing $9 billion a company of client money, but in lesser forms of that, this happens. This is a complex business. It's not as simple as maybe one may think it is. And so absolutely want to do something, but that something needs to have value. It can't just be a gimmick so that people think, we're doing what we should be doing. I want them to know we're doing what we should be doing. And I think that comes from not just, posting a balance statement. What are the issues of the tangible bond redemption? What is the status? Tangible bond should be paid by the end of the week, I think. We're just moving funds into place, actually. So just taking a bit longer than usual, but we will get them into place, and redemption should happen, I think, by the end of this week. What is the status? Okay, got that one already. Will the CoinMetro bonds be freely tradable on Ignium until the redemption date? It looks like they should be, yes. But I can't really speak for Ignium. I do believe yes. Will CAD be linked to direct deposits this year? We definitely have CAD accounts already. We have all the merchant requirements we need. They're scheduled to be integrated, I think, Q1. Let's see. League of Legends rank. I answered that one. Got the Reddit questions. Okay, let's go back to this bad boy. I'm sure quite a few people ended up staking their XCM since they couldn't sell. They will now close their staking plans early and try to sell once the book is reset. Any thoughts? They might. They might not. I honestly don't necessarily think we're going to see a huge amount of people on staking because historically we haven't seen that. And I don't think we're going to see that now. And I also don't think some of the larger orders in the book that are currently sitting there will be sitting on it with their finger on, the trigger to constantly put 5,000 XCM orders in the book either. Integration to BlockPit planned. We've been talking to a few tax reporting companies. I don't know if BlockPit's one of them, but I do think in the future that's going to be tied to some our tier system as one of the perks. Absolutely. Okay, Mr. Kevin, I asked you if you think the forced selling by centralized lending firm Bitcoin. I don't know why you write Mr. Kevin in parentheses. Am I gender fluid or something today? I asked if you think the forced selling by centralized lending firm, Bitcoin miners, and those who had to liquidate holdings means Bitcoin selling pressure, it's over for the most. All right, I'm going to try to decipher this question. So if I think that forced selling by centralized lending firms, Bitcoin miners, and those who Bitcoin selling pressure is what, high and it's like all over? No, I don't think so. Look, Bitcoin isn't the most liquid asset in the world, but in crypto, it is the most liquid for sure. If you've seen, we've seen already effects of what happens when one of the biggest exchanges goes under. We've seen effects of what happens when things like Celsius, et cetera, have been liquidated. We've seen massive puts and different things on Bitcoin that have come to expiry. And to be honest, it's a pretty resilient market. So no, I don't think it means it's over. I also don't think that there necessarily isn't someone sitting ready to buy most of those assets, because right now with pricing close under the cost of mining, that means that most institutions understand that either miners stop mining, which means that the kind of difficulty goes down, but then immediately what you see, this is what makes Bitcoin and proof of work pretty ingenious, in that when the institutions stop mining, what happens? Difficulty goes down. As soon as that happens, what happens? Well, people with their old miners that now can make money turn them back on. Difficulty goes back up. Price rises as a result to a new range. Over time, the price generally hovers in the area that it costs to mine, and it never hovers too long outside of that range. And so, no, I think the market can absorb it. Doesn't mean that price can't spike down, but yeah, I don't see this as a major issue. I see you're saying, why are you ignoring me? I have a list of questions, my friend, and I have to get through all of them. That doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. That was the first time I saw your question, though. It's not in my list. Not sure where you posted it. Looks like you posted this one on YouTube. Not sure where you posted before. Maybe it doesn't come into the system I'm looking at, but I answer all questions, man. Don't worry. Will you be adding Solana to the pot? Is that for staking or just exchange? I'm not a big fan of Solana, to be honest. Well, I wasn't a big fan before, and now with the whole FTX thing, I'm certainly not a fan. But again, that doesn't really mean anything. I don't have to like something for us to list it. But up to this point, I don't think it's on any short or long list for that matter. When will CoinMetro open up to New York? This is a massive market that can help with XCM liquidity potentially. Well, there's lots of massive markets around the world that can help with XCM liquidity. But when it comes to New York, it's the BIT license. So it's a massive licensing effort for one state. Yes, there's money in New York. There's more money in London. So more money flows through London than any other financial market in the world. And that's why we have a licensing effort going on there. The BIT license is substantially more expensive, costs about $1 million to $2 million to go through that licensing process, only to get access to one state. I'm hoping that federal licensing comes out over the next 12 to 18 months, and that means we can get one license cover the entire US, including New York. When stable staking? Well, that was on the radar, and then we got distracted on other things. I think we will see a stable coin Q1 come into the mix. When cheaper withdrawals? Also something that we've been working on. We still use BitGo for different assets, and that's why, because BitGo charges us a percentage. Over time, though, we're going to do what we can to make sure that, well, we get rid of those percentages, and well, you guys become more happy. We don't make a whole lot of money off of that, and we make a little bit of money because we have to. We're in a business; we need to make some money. We don't make a ton of money, and the only reason that it's percentage is because that's what we get charged. But we're working on solving that. So. Thanks, Mr. Kevin. Love, man. Thank you, Ligma, for the question. Hopefully I gave you an answer that, suited your fancy, my friend. All right, so that's the last question on the list, man. We're at 52 minutes, 57 seconds. Look, guys, I'm open to questions anytime, day or night, on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. You can tweet me at Kevin Murcko. Telegram I get to quicker than probably Twitter, but tweet me or message me on Telegram anytime you have a question. You can DM me if you want, but if you have a question that others may benefit from, I would say pop it in our Telegram group at CoinMetro. I'll answer it, whether it's about the book, whether it's about whatever. You can throw some criticism at me if you want. I'm good with that as well. My job here is to make sure that I make the majority of you guys happy. And I think the best way to do that is to make sure that you have a great place to trade, a great place to invest. And at the end of the day, XCM as an asset does well. And my long-term goal is to make sure that it does well. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do well every day, week or month, quarter or year. But at the end of the day, that's where the focus is. And that focus is not going to wane. So there you go. I do see some questions. Well, I'll try to get to these guys. Let's see. Is there a timeline on when you think XCM liquidity will be fixed? I've given a timeline in the past and I was wrong. So I can give you another one, but I could be wrong. What I will say is that it's a priority. Simple as that. And what's happening this week is not the last thing we're going to do. You're going to continue to see different updates, whether it be to tokenomics or to different aspects to make sure that book starts running more smooth. What is your stand about ETH layer 2 becoming the next bull narrative? Look, all layer 1s are like layer 7s anyway, because underneath you have ISPs and you have internet in general, you have electricity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no really such thing as a layer 1 or a layer 0 when it comes to a protocol. However, I don't necessarily think layer twos are going to solve or create some type of really big hype mechanism. I think what we need are scalable layer ones. And there we have a few of those. Hi, Kevin. The EU will scrutinize crypto transactions above 1,000. Will CoreMetro retract deposits that have not been declared? I've been doing self-custody of my cryptos. Well, we have our own AML policies, our own compliance policies. You make a deposit that goes above whatever you answered in the questionnaire when you opened your account, you're going to get asked some questions. It's pretty easy to show if you're self-custodying. You just show when you bought the asset or when the asset, made it to your wallet. And obviously, if at that time it was worth way less, it's pretty simple. So, unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's dirty money and there's money that causes lots of havoc around the world. So we have to do our part to make sure that we reduce that. However, I don't see a major burden here, and I think you're going to be fine. When leg up? You want me to stick my leg up? I'm not really sure what that means. Cheers, Kev. CM is an amazing exchange. Thanks, Dad. And Pedro, if you meant when, market go up, well, it depends on how big of a leg you're looking for. If you're looking for like a turkey leg or a chicken leg, that may happen in the next 3 to 6 months. If you're looking for, a dinosaur leg, well, that's probably not going to happen until 2024, 2025. But I do think, it really depends on the macro. And the macro, well, right now in 2023 is not going to look all that great. Okay. Happy holidays to you too as well, Crypto Junkie. Thanks a lot for that. Okay, guys, I'm leaving it there. Have a great weekend. Spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it physically, do it virtually. Wait. I thought that was your knee. Must be the mic.
Is the mic not any good?
I was at a conference one day, the other week, and the guy was talking into the mic literally like this. It was ridiculous. Probably didn't understand a word I said. So that's it. Spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it physically, do it virtually. Make sure you tell everybody that XCM is amazing, and that if they all came in and did their part, no one would care about the floor anymore. Come on, guys. We're doing our part. You guys got to do yours. Have a great weekend. Thanks for all the questions. If you guys want more AMAs or you want AMAs on different days, just let us know in Telegram, man. Let us know, and we'll make it happen. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for the support, as always.